Oh, we're back, baby. We're back. Qué refrescante estoy hoy.
Con tu agüita.
With my agüita.
With our water.
Our sponsor from Atala Group, Mondariz.
There you go.
And Vichy Catalan. And our guest today, the beautiful
None other.
mayor.
None other.
None other. The beautiful
None other.
Mayor of Doral, Christi Fraga, loves the agüita.
Thank you. I love it. It's
Is
really
that gonna
good,
be?
actually.
That should be her new name.
What?
The beautiful mayor.
Oh, that's
The
very
beautiful
sweet. Thank you,
mayor.
guys.
Yes, yes,
I said
definitely.
we should keep that one.
I-
The beautiful mayor of the beautiful place of Doral.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I've been on her podcast.
But I'm not trying to take Coral Gables the city beautiful.
No,
not
that's
where-
fine. I mean, listen,
Doral.
listen. You're much prettier than Vince. So,
Well,
Yeah. And
That's a
Vin-
compliment.
And,
Thank you.
And Vinny's sexy.
so
And
at the
Vinny's
end
sexy.
of the day,
We
I'm
love it.
sorry. We'll take you 100 times better.
How are you, Mayor? How you doing?
I'm good. This is great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
No, yeah, it was
You guys
long
are doing a
overdue.
great job.
Long
Yeah.
overdue. Long overdue.
We saw her 2 days ago. She was at the PBA receiving a little
Okay.
plaque from all the help she's done with us for the
Yeah,
police.
we're super excited.
And her amazing team of Doral and stuff. So I see
Yes.
her a lot. And the other time before was on her podcast.
Yes.
What's the name of the podcast again?
In the city con Cristi.
In the City
The
con
City con
Cristi.
Cristi. I
Manny,
like
have
it.
you
I
been
like
on there
it.
yet?
I
We
have
gotta
not.
have.
I have not.
You got to do it.
I have not.
Oh.
They don't let me go anywhere else. Listen.
You're welcome to come anytime.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Listen, I just want to say that from the get go, Eddie here behind the scenes was saying we gotten already so many comments, because we were putting down already the fact that we were going to have the spectacular mayor of Doral.
Yeah.
And of course, you got all the people from a day in Miami. Everybody saying, everybody commenting. Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, we even got some that say, oh, is she married?
What?
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
15 years, happily
you
married.
see?
Fan club.
I have a great husband.
The people are crazy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people.
Is it people or our followers?
Our followers. I think it's our followers. I think it's our followers. But that's great to know.
Definitely. She's
Happily
nice to
married,
look at.
15 years. Tell us a little bit about that, about you and your family.
Oh,
Family
we're
life.
very family oriented. We have a very tight family. But yes, I've been married for 15 years. I met my husband in Miami-Dade College in our last semester
great.
in Miami-Dade, and then transferred to FIU. And we have a 9-year-old son who plays golf.
Wow.
He's a big golfer, loves golf. Yes, so
In the right city.
We have a
Yes,
future. He is in the right city.
We live on the golf course, so it's great because
No.
he goes out there and we'll hit a couple balls, and so he's very excited. We've got the Live Tour in Doral right now,
Going
so
on right now.
he's excited. He met some of the pros yesterday, and he's like, he wants to show them his swing. So I'm very excited. I'm hoping that's going to be my retirement fund.
Well, yeah, I'm saying.
Talk
we're
about
the
a kid with
scouts.
connections.
We're the scouts out there.
I'm counting on that
Oh, yeah.
swing.
All the mayor does is just push the kid outside.
Yeah.
Go outside and
Go
go
play
hit some
golf.
balls.
Coño, qué rico. I live on a golf course. Yeah, me too.
Let me clarify. I live on Costa del Sol golf course. It's
Whatever,
a subpar.
whatever.
We run it ourselves.
Hey.
Fully volunteer run.
No
by the
matter. You
community.
can't get out of that one. Golf course is a golf course.
Golf course is a golf
That's
course.
amazing. That's
Well, that is
amazing.
the beauty of living in Doral.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
That is the beauty of living in Doral. We've got a lot of green space, a lot of, we take care of our community, and we're Tree City, USA, and that's one of the most important things because we want to preserve our golf courses, and we need to do that in South Florida.
Yes.
Miami-Dade, we're seeing a lot of the golf courses disappear.
Disappearing.
And we're very lucky.
We can't
that
talk
we've
about
got-
that one,
Yeah,
but,
I know.
you know.
We've got the Trump National Doral, and they have an incredible course. I would say one of the best in South Florida.
I think it is.
Probably one of the best in
Yes.
Florida besides Mar-a-Lago, because then I don't want an argument with our president.
Right.
So, but they're both his courses. But I think
Yes.
the Doral is a great course. And then you've got other options of more difficult courses, but they're not as hard to play, which is the silver, the red, and the gold. And then you have Costa del Sol, which is like a beginner amateur course that we got a lot of kids that play on. My son plays there, and we've got a beautiful community. We've got incredible parks. You guys should come check out the Doral
The new
Central
park.
Well,
Park.
I wanted to jump into
Yeah,
that one.
let's
I
do
mean, that one, that for me is that's mind blowing. That's mind blowing.
84 acres.
That's crazy. And
the
with
crazy
the water parks.
Yes.
and,
So that I'm opening in about a week, 2 weeks. We should be open. We're
Okay.
going to do a little bit of soft opening, and then our big opening will be in May. That was one of the main reasons I came back to run for mayor of Doral. That was a promise we made to the voters in 2018. It was a bond that went out, which actually I opposed the bond because of the $150 million, which I didn't think we needed to bond. We had money in our reserves. We were a growing community that had a lot of impact fees coming in. I'm an accountant. That's what I do. And I said, I think that we can phase this out and build it. Yes, it'll take us 10 years, but we can phase it out and build it with money that's coming in, and we don't have to bond our city and additionally tax our residents.
More debt.
But it happened, and it passed, and I'm grateful for the residents that put that trust in us. But then they didn't come through. at the time, the current council and mayor did not meet their commitment and build out Doral Central Park. They built out some other things, but Doral Central Park stayed 3 years closed. Most of the bond was used.
Right.
We had to pull $50 million out of our reserve. So that's why I came back. I was able to get the park open in 2 years, meet the commitment to the voters.
But you just got reelected.
I just got reelected in November for 4 years.
Overwhelmingly, let's just say.
For 4 years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which, by the way, not to cut you off, but I just want to really, emphasize on that part that, like everything in politics, we're going through that now in Coral Gables here and stuff like that. But I really want to say that you came back and you came back stronger than ever because, the residents spoke and they say they wanted you back and everybody else there.
It's about fulfilling your commitments.
I
promises
agree.
made, promises kept, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And so we are now opening up phase 2 of the park. I'm super excited. It's beautiful. It is really a place for families to come together. There is something for everybody from the young kids. We have got a skate park, kayaking on the lake, 3 kids parks to a senior citizen room, and then the aquatics, which will meet services for special needs kids, for our senior population. There's a lot. And then everything that I have planned for the next 4 years.
Parking too? Parking at the park?
Actually, that's one of the things that they didn't do that I think they needed to. So right now during our strategic plan.
That's going to bring a lot of people.
Yeah, because we have the amphitheater too.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yes.
On the west side of the county, we've never had something like that. Amphitheater holds about 4,000 people. Crazy. So, but they didn't do a parking garage, which was part of one of the original plans. So this year, I'm bringing back a plan to build the parking garage with some additional civic space, about 700 spaces, which we'll need, and then like pickleball on the roof. So I want to really utilize all aspects.
No, we're going to have to park
the land.
The reason I bring it up is because Doral's beautiful, but the traffic gets dense.
Pero it's Miami-Dade County.
Yes,
There's traffic
I know, but
everywhere.
That's how 87th Avenue
Look,
at 5:30.
Listen. Go ahead, Mayor. Go ahead.
I challenge you to come to Doral
on
a Saturday.
Challenge
Okay,
him. Él siempre tiene un problema.
and get
I don't
through
understand.
13 square miles.
Él tiene un problema because he couldn't get to the restaurant that he wanted to get to.
Mira,
that's another
I challenge you to come to Doral, get through 13 square miles within 15 minutes. You can do it. Now come to Coral Gables or go to Kendall on a Saturday and try and do that. You can't do that. The traffic we have is due to the business community that where we are located in the county. It's a lot of transient
traffic.
The
residents.
It's a lot of the business, but that's what's made us successful
100%.
too. Which is why it's so important to keep a
listen,
balance.
If we're going to go to the
in our
traffic
community.
situation, we're going to just jump into the traffic situation because
No,
Kiko
I
got
just
us.
tied it to the
can-
park.
No, but I'm going to say something.
To get into the park,
There's things that we can do to improve.
It took me an hour from here to get to my son's flag football in St. Kevin, 127th.
No, impossible.
An hour.
Look, there's
From
things that
here
we
to-
can do.
It was crazy, and I went through Bird Road, which has 4 lanes. I didn't even go anywhere else. I go ways.
That's why we invest in things like Joby, which
Joby?
vertical airspace travel
yeah.
and air taxis. I'm kidding.
But no,
seriously, that's
that'll
going to be the future at some point.
No.
The truth is, there is things that we
gotta
can do.
We got to get a double wide for Kiko.
No, hey, I'm just being
I'm
real.
not
Sometimes it gets dense.
Look, we've invested into things like micro transit with Freebie. We've actually expanded that to our senior citizens. So I did a program that for 65 plus, it's in the entire city. And then we've obviously focused it on the more dense areas like downtown Doral. Our trolleys, we've expanded. We now have 30 trolleys.
Which
we're
that
redoing.
helps.
Yeah, it really does.
Great.
We have over 30,000 riders on a monthly basis. So there is people using it. Our youth uses it a lot. I created a direct trolley route into FIU for our students and teachers. So every time now there's a development, we try and incentivize them to donate trolleys to help us increase our fleet. That'll help us shorten the routes, make them more efficient and quicker. So there's a lot of things that we can do, and I think Doral has done to improve the traffic situation. But the truth is that Miami-Dade County is just overpopulated.
Well, no,
You're right.
So
to continue on that note, if that happens, would that be also now an issue with the Trump residences, with all the apartments are going to be?
Yeah, look, you can't stop development.
No, listen,
what
I
you
agree.
can do is create
gotta keep
mechanisms
on
that
it.
create, smart growth. What he's bringing is, first of all, when I got there, they had approved 2,900 units. Okay. I brought them down to 1,400. So, I read his deal, his book,
The
Art of the Deal. Okay,
so
because
you played the art of the deal on him.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it was too much. It was too much what he wanted to do in that corner, and I do believe that what they're going to do is beautiful, but it needed to be adequate for our community.
Certain density.
Absolutely, it is going to be a inventory and market we don't have. You're talking about apartments at about $2 million. a piece. So it's definitely going to elevate the community and elevate the area.
Those will all be gone.
And the values of the homes in that area. But it is in a very, very critical corner of our city, 87th Avenue and 41st Street. There's no more expansion. You can't expand the roads there anymore. I mean, there's not much you can do. There are going to be some improvements, but I did ask them to come down about half the units.
Well, but that's
What's the growth rate of Doral on a yearly basis? Because I see that it is expanding, it is growing. But
I can't give you like an exact
every year it's
percentage,
bigger,
but
right?
it's every year we're growing. We're seeing a lot of redevelopment now.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things is, so Miami-Dade County, one of the impacts that we felt after COVID was, you know, a lot of people moving here.
Right.
And so we started to become the housing crises that we talked about in the East Coast and the West Coast. Yeah. And the state has gotten involved in our zoning stuff, and I'm not going to go deep into that because it's controversial. I was the first one to put a moratorium on the Live Local Act that was passed at the state. I really think that it becomes I think it becomes scary territory when you're taking away local rights to local communities that know their communities, and basically they're taking away our zoning rights, and you're handing it off to Tallahassee, who doesn't understand necessarily the growth and development locally.
To your point, I won't get into it either, but I never understood that.
So,
you know, zoning should be local zoning.
Absolutely. And so I understand the incentives that are trying to be given, and I get their intention. I don't think it's being executed correctly. I think it threatens local communities. It threatens the residents' voices, who are the ones that are living
where the hell are they going to go
living that
complain?
every single absolutely come to knock on my door.
That's what I'm saying.
And then they've taken away that legislative right from us. And so I think
is that right now, then?
Well, there is even more preemption happening at the state right now. I think local municipalities and local authorities have never been under attack as much as they are now from Tallahassee. And I get it. They're trying to deregulate and they don't want it to be. I totally understand it. I am very anti-bureaucratic. I'm come from the private sector. That's what I've done my whole life. And so I get it. I'm trying to find those efficiencies and cut the red tape in our city as much as possible. But when it comes to zoning, you have to be very careful, because if you don't plan, the public sector will never be at the speed of the private sector. It's impossible for us to be. And so our infrastructure suffers when you give so much free reign to the private sector. So you have to be careful on how you do it.
I think that there's can't be residents
but the purpose
out there
of
that are against that.
The purpose of the Live Local Act was to incentivize workforce housing.
Correct.
And it does. And actually
Which works. The workforce thing works.
Absolutely. And we put in our code measures to incentivize workforce housing in 2014. So we've been ahead of it for quite a while now.
And nothing's happened. 2025.
Are people loading up in apartments like 3 or 4 residents at once?
But that's the
problem. And paying one so expensive.
Yeah, well, that's happened for years in our community.
But también, like for what the mayor's saying. So when we had 2 podcasts, one with Carlos Migoya, and we had one with Catherine Fernandez.
Yeah,
and we were talking about the whole workforce situation, especially in the Jackson downtown area for residents, doctors that are living in the area.
But look, for example, I think that I was on the school board for 2 years.
Okay.
I think the school board has a great opportunity. I'm very encouraged by the current makeup of the school board. And I kind of kick-started it when I was there.
I'm glad.
They have a lot of land, okay? They're the largest landowner, I believe, in Miami-Dade County. And you don't need that much land for schools anymore. I would take some of that land. I would... and this is, again, super controversial, but I'm not...
But your opinion.
I'm known for being a little controversial.
Right,
I would consolidate schools, make more K through 8s, take land, and make teacher housing. Partner with the private sector, create teacher housing, give them incentives. We have a shortage of teachers. You look at trade schools. I think that's how you curve the issue with the workforce in Miami-Dade County,
and at least help them out with the fact that they'll get the best paid salaries either.
But there's no more bureaucratic process in the school district, but I won't get into that. But yes, I think that there's great opportunities, and I think that the challenges Miami-Dade County is facing have solutions when you have outside of the box thinkers and you're willing to do something different and not necessarily be so traditional.
Talking about growth, I go a lot to downtown Doral for restaurants, obviously, and City Place. How are those two doing? How is City Place doing?
They're very different, I will tell you. City Place has had its challenges.
I know that.
They've had a bit of turnover, but I've reached out to the different managements they've had and tried to give my suggestions about how to make it, that more attractive community place. Downtown Doral hasn't been a walk in the park either. They have been more selective on how they curate their tenants, which I think is important. But they've had some turnover too, and I just think that it's the market right now. It's a tough.
People are struggling, but I have seen some
it's a
spots
tough industry.
close. A city place that has me concerned. But it's like you said, it's all around,
But we do have great restaurants. Incredible people are coming to the community, investing a lot of money. And,
Cuba Cabana is one of my favorite in City
Well,
Place.
listen,
I
would.
Cuba Cabana does.
It's like an anchor at City Place because it's good.
Yeah, they do. We've done a lot of. They do great. Cuba Cabana there too. They do some great stuff.
The Improv.
The Improv does great too. We've obviously had some issues. Like I said, which is what I tell City Place. You want to be you have to figure out what you want to be. Do you want to be an entertainment establishment or do you want to be a family place? Because you can't have Sloan's and have Martini Bar. I don't want to see half naked girls walking out when I'm coming out with my family from Sloan's.
Well, but it's Miami. It's Miami. You're gonna see half naked girls all the time.
But it's not necessarily the right atmosphere. So you have to be careful how you curate your
the Doral people know how to dress.
The kids driving around and then the people coming out to have drinks.
So we've had some issues there, but I'm very open with them, and I want to help our community. I'm there to provide solutions.
Not everybody's going to be happy.
I got a lot of heat when I rolled back the hours after the Martini Bar shooting. About the business community. There was a lot of people that were upset.
Okay.
Well, mira, mi mamá me decía, nada bueno pasa después de las 2 de la mañana. And she wasn't wrong.
All Hispanic parents would tell you the same thing.
She wasn't wrong.
No hay nada bueno en la calle después de las 2 de la mañana.
That shooting was on video. That was scary because I walked down that staircase all the time.
It was scary.
It was. So
it was 2 a.m.
Yes.
It's all right. 2 a.m.
2 a.m. is last call. Yeah.
It is.
2
a.m. 2 a.m.
Listen, everybody's done it, but everybody, all the communities have done it because we want to protect the quality of life of our residents.
But I think it's perfect. Look what they've
I
done.
think it's a good
South
balance.
Beach with everything, with
one
spring break and everything.
Yeah, we got to be tough on those things.
Doral's got a ton of restaurants.
Yes.
Some of my favorites. Some of my buddies own them. What's kind of your favorite food? I'm not gonna ask you your favorite restaurants, but like, where do you?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you where you can find me.
We can leave that one for later.
Yeah.
And do you think Doral ever have like a Michelin star restaurant, something of like?
I would love that. I'm trying.
I think they're
really. I was gonna tell you that's
globally recognized, right?
So okay, so the locals, we're sushi people. Love sushi. There's a little place called Raki Sushi, which I love. It's called the Raki. Literally, the owner barely speaks English or Spanish. Rakki. Raki.
Wow, I haven't heard about it. Good stuff.
Yeah.
No.
It's like this. It's this small. It's
We're
like
ordering
40.
this afternoon.
I probably should have said this because now I'm never gonna get a table because it's about 40 seats, really, really small, but really traditional omakase. He barely speaks English or Spanish.
What's his name?
Richard, but it's not really Richard. I'm not.
It's like when you go to whatever. I'm not gonna say. Hi, my name's Mary.
Yeah. Richard. Sure. I was like, your name is not really Richard, but
it's
very, very good. My son loves omakase, so we go there a lot, and it's right next to my house, right on 107th, and that is 38. So it's by the Miami Children's clinic.
We'll put it in the description.
And then my traditional go-to, it's like my house. I love it. I go there and I can, the chef will come out and make whatever I want. And then he really does that with everybody. And the owner's always there, and he's my neighbor. Is Il Forno.
Oh, okay.
Il Forno, Ciro there. Il Forno is, it's traditional.
We all have those.
Italian food. To me, the best pomodoro pasta is from him, and it's even better the second day. Don't ask me questions that
Do you cook at home?
I can cook. I don't cook.
She chooses
I don't
not
have
to.
time.
She doesn't have time. She's running a city, Kiko, and a family.
But I can cook. Actually, you guys, I don't know if you know, but I owned Brain Freeze, the nitrogen ice cream store.
Really?
Yes, I started that company in
what
2015.
don't you do?
And I made all the recipes and all the ice
Mayor
cream.
Polifacética. They should change her name to Soy la que hago esto, soy la que hago otro, soy la que lo hago todo.
Está bueno.
That's a good name for the mayor. That should be Soy la, Mayor Soy la.
At the house, then kids get home and stuff. Like, you can't order out every day, right? You do order out every day. That's expensive.
I know. We do order
do you give the golfer
quite a bit.
Does he?
No, I will make like I made him un pescadito the other day. You know, I buy the ones that like there's a place
nice.
there's a place Wild Fork.
You're sure?
Wild Fork is
Wild Fork is great, but there's another place that's very healthy foods. You can go and pick up Saludable se llama. It's a Venezuelan health influencer, and she does these. So you could go and you could pick them up and put them in the like in the air fryer, and they're done right away. Yeah. So I'll pick up pescadito done. He loves fish, and like a steak. So yes, I will make things fast, but I get home very late, Kiko.
No, of course.
I do. I get home very late. This is a commitment. I'll tell you, this is a sacrifice and a commitment on the family, and that's why I'm so grateful to my husband and my entire family that understand it and support me, because I wouldn't be able to do it without them.
Correct.
And so we do eat out a lot. That's why the other day you were offering pastelitos. I'm like, dude, I'm on a diet. I'm trying to fast
because
in the morning.
Because going out a lot,
yes.
So I want to dive into 2 other questions I think is super important. Yeah. Tell me about, what do you feel about the Federal Reserve in Doral? What has the Federal Reserve?
Man, that's a staple in Doral. I remember being a little kid, and my mom's a banker.
Okay.
And has been a banker for, I'm not going to say the amount of years because she'll kill me.
That's why you became an accountant.
Well, she wanted me to go into the banking financial industry. I could not do that. It's too boring for me. Yeah. But I remember going to the Federal Reserve as a kid and getting the shredded money, the little shredded money bags.
Yeah.
And doing the tour of where you would go and you would watch them like shred the old money and stuff. So the Federal Reserve in Doral is a staple. It's an icon. I mean, it's there. And now they're building the largest vault in the United States in Doral.
Do we have the blueprints?
Yes.
Oh shit! I didn't know.
I actually saw them, but but yes. So it's underground. Yeah. It's 10 stories, and which is crazy to think that they're doing that in South Florida, but they are.
Water.
It's not fully underground, but I believe it's about 3 stories are underground. Right. Wow. But it's really cool. I've gotten a tour, and it should be done by the end of this year or early next year. But the Federal Reserve in Doral is
a staple.
Southcom, Univision.
We're blessed to have Justin here with us as part of our group. That his dad was Fed chair.
I know. The Busto family for a very long time.
For a long
He's the one who used to give me the
tours.
The tours.
They're
friends of my, he's friends with my family for a long time.
Stories underground.
Yeah.
It's when it rains sometimes.
The flooding. But I think
we fixed a lot of the flooding. Yeah. So we have one area that's still pretty bad. The flooding issue.
Miami is.
Yeah, and way worse. But
listen, the flooding issue in Miami-Dade County is, no one can be ignorant to the whole sea level rise issue. We're seeing every year the king tides come in more. Yeah. So there's got to be more sustainable practices and making sure that we're building for this type of infrastructure. In Doral, we've really fixed a lot of it. We've done a lot of infrastructure improvements, and we've invested a lot of money. 79th Avenue is the only one I still have left. Right. That what's happened there is a lot of those older properties
that's what I was going to tell you. Some of those drains
sunk.
Are like...
Yeah, no, not only have that, they've actually sunk. And what happens is now the regulation requires them to build about 6 inches higher. Okay. So they've created a bowl. And so a lot of these older, so you've got downtown Doral that if you stand in, for example, Grand Vista, which is on 79th Avenue, the older apartments, and you stand next to where they've built downtown Doral, because it's literally right next door, it's about 3 feet higher than the ground at Grand Vista. So gravity, guys, it's not rocket science. You've got to have runoff. Yes. And so what happens is they're flooding these properties. So they've got to lift all that area. So what we've been talking about is doing maybe some type of special taxing district. Or
so that was, would that fall under you, or would you get some federal, some state money? Or
so that's private, and so we can't do it. I'm doing for the first time. There is one road there that does affect several properties, and it should be a public road. It's a private road, but we've been a little bit, again, forward thinking, and we decided that we were going to take over that road. Right. We are assessing the properties in the area, but it's about 3,000 properties. Makes sense. They're going to pay like $10 a year for the next 5 years, and we're going to take over that road, fix it, put lighting, put sidewalks, make it safer. So we're in the negotiations doing that right now, and the residents there are super happy about it, but it's not going to fix their problem inside their properties. So I think the only way on the public sector that we can do something for them is to incentivize private sector money to come in and do like a full redevelopment, which we've seen. We saw that on the beach. We've seen that in other areas. So I think that that's what's going to end up happening on 79th Avenue at some point. We did create what we call the adaptive reuse area behind City Hall, which are all those older warehouses, to incentivize, kind of like to bring that Wynwood feel and do some cool things back there. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it start to evolve. So a lot of great things happening.
And I have a question. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I have more questions, but go ahead.
No, just to tie into what she's saying, does Doral have kind of like a business district or like a bid for
That's what we're looking.
businesses?
So we have what we call the Doral Decor District, which is like the tile area, and where Jackson came in, that whole area there. And we are looking at creating more incentives. We do have like our Doral facade grant, which we will match funds to be able to see you improve the outside of your business and things like that. Yes. So we do, but we don't have a special taxing district or a business improvement district. But that is exactly what we're studying for 79th Avenue.
Yeah. So this is one that I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, we don't need to get so forward, but I think it is affecting a lot of Doral, and it's the immigration situation.
Yes.
Okay, so I feel that
it's a really tough subject.
It's a real tough subject, but I feel that, we got to at least, touch on it, because the sense is that a lot of people are scared.
Yes. It's a lot of anxiety right now. Yes. The whole I'm in ground zero of it.
So, you have all these things going on, which, again, we're not going to debate this because I'm sure we're going to get so much comments on this.
It's a whole nother podcast.
It's a whole nother podcast. I do like something that's coming out that I think that Maria Vida is trying to introduce, which is something of a legacy, a bill or whatever, of talking about the people that have X amount of people have been here for X amount of years.
There's a couple of those. There's also La Ley del Ajuste. There's a couple.
There's a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm sure that you're getting, flooded with phone calls.
Yes, it's hard.
Doral, look, the Venezuelan community.
I'm going to tell you, this is a hard one for me because I fully support the president's policies on immigration and securing our border and national security. And I don't think that you could talk to anybody that wouldn't agree that the criminals that came here and the 100%. Open borders that we had for 4 years, unfortunately, we're living the consequences of that. And it was not good for anyone. It wasn't good for our economy. It wasn't good for our safety. And so I think that that's why he won by such an overwhelming number of Latinos.
That was the first mandate that people put.
However, I do think that we've taken a hatchet to things we could have taken a scalpel to in certain extents. And the reason why I say that is because I am at ground zero, and I know, and I've seen these families that came here. They've suffered political, persecution. I mean, there's sometimes
people can't go back.
No, they can't. And and they're terrified. And the thing is 100%. That you look over there, it's like Cuba, right? It's there. Hay apagones, no hay comida, no hay medicina. There's people dying, there's kids dying. You can say conditions there have improved. And so these people are scared. They're scared. They're scared for their families. They're scared. And they want the American dream of not the house and the watch and this. They want the American dream of liberty. Of freedom.
That's it.
That's all they want. And an opportunity to work hard and have an opportunity for their kids.
On that point that you're saying, I seen a lot of businesses suffer.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are scared to even go to the
supermarket
or going to the little restaurants. Yeah. I mean, let's put it out there.
They're still living their life. I'm not going to tell you, but there is a lot of anxiety about it. Okay. And the thing is that there are bad people. There are more good people that are here working, and they don't want a handout. They want just to be able to work.
I know some of them.
And by the way, our families are probably some of those that came here. I'll tell you, my grandparents came here y no cogieron un kilo del gobierno y trabajaron.
Same.
Okay,
I still don't understand why can't we just get people here? And again, that's when I'll.
But there has to be a process. I do agree that there has to be a process, and it's unfair. There's so many political, and this is what I tell these people who are here that I say, I've had a political asylum case for 8 years and I haven't been heard. And I said, you know what happened is the guy who came across the border with no process and didn't follow the rules got put in front of you, and that's the problem. They got put in front of you, and your case was not heard, and now there's so many cases that the system is saturated. And that's, I think, what the administration is trying to fix. And I get it and I understand it and I want to support it. But I hurt for those people.
There is.
Who, my son told me this week that 3 of his friends' families are leaving. They're self-deporting. Yeah, because they're terrified. They don't want to get deported because they don't want to go through that process, and they're hopeful that something will come out where they can apply and come back on a more permanent status and they're not here illegally. They didn't cross the border. They're people that came here with visas, overstayed their visas, took TPS, right? And then what happens also is, and my sister's an immigration attorney, but what happens is you have a lot of attorneys have abused these people, okay? And le han robado dinero y le han bad advice. And there's a lot of people. So it's a tough topic to talk about. I know.
But I think that
I'm very empathetic to it, though.
What we could all agree is that you are a strong voice as a mayor of a city that has a lot of people that are tormented about this, that your voice could be heard also in Congress. And you can talk to our
I talk to our congressman. My congressman is Mario Diaz-Balart. I talk to him all the time. I've talked to Maria Bira. I've talked to Jimenez. Talked to all of them, and I understand their positions, and I support their positions. Yeah. I really do. But I do also live these people's live, anxiety and realities.
Listen, and like I told you at the beginning,
it's hard. It's really hard.
There's something that Maria Bira is doing, which I reached out to her.
Yeah,
I would love to talk to her about it, but she hasn't gone back to me. But that's okay.
I'll get it for you.
We'll tell her.
No, it's okay. It's okay. They call you when they need to get reelected. But I'll remember that. Anyway, at the end of the day, that's another story with another podcast. Yeah. I'm gonna, I should just call that one Pide podcast. I come from old school politics, so I believe in the fact that you have to return people's phone calls. And that's another thing. But anyway, I wanted to talk to her because I think what she's doing, and I'm not the biggest fan. I think that what she's trying to present is spectacular.
Yeah.
Because she was putting that of the people that are either with permits or the people that are in process of getting a working permit, because that is a huge problem. I think that has to be clarified.
Yeah. Look, I think the United States has always been a place that people turn to when they've needed an opportunity or refuge from, political prosecution or, dictatorships and communism. And I think we're all prime examples of that. Pero hay que venir a trabajar. This is not a handout. And I think that if we stick to that and we have a good process, that there are a lot of people that can apoyar cosas buenas. They aportan muchas buenas cosas buenas. They support good things. And I think that they have the same mindset we do. But each case is an individual case, is a specialized case, and each case is different. So it is a very tough subject. I get a lot of phone calls. I mean, I've had people crying, anxious that they have to go. They have to go to an interview at the immigration, or they have their hearing and they don't know what to expect. And that is a very hard thing when you have a family.
It's a tough question, but it's a question, especially.
But I listen to them. Well, I hear them. I tell them, look, I'm praying for you. Yes. That's the one thing I said. Don't lose your faith. Pray, because for me, that's always what gets me through those hard moments. And I say, you have to pray. We have to believe that this is, and if there's one person that's going to take Maduro down, I believe we have a chance. It would be Trump.
Correct.
100%. Yeah. So I do believe, and Marco Rubio being our Secretary of State, I think we have a good mind. I think we have a good mind that understands Latin American politics, that understands.
I agree with you 100%.
So I am very hopeful that this is a team that can get it done. Yes. And Latin America is extremely important for the future of national 100%. Security in this region, in the United States. And if anybody who doesn't understand that and doesn't know the terrorists and the things that are happening in Latin America, it's a very dangerous thing.
That in one breath.
All that.
Now, in one breath.
That's called taking out the trash.
One breath. Well,
that's called taking out the trash.
We already took care of that.
Talking about taking out the trash.
We already took care of that. Yeah.
What's up with this incinerator on the news? I see all the time.
It's like a ping pong.
What's the update on this?
Listen, we took out all the trash in the elections in November.
That's a good one.
What's the deal with this trash incinerator everybody's talking about? And what's the status?
Look, it's a very complex situation.
Does it really
very
smell?
Technical.
Does it really smell?
It doesn't anymore. I did for a very long time. I tell you, I grew up in Doral, and you could smell it. Yeah. And it got worse as the facility got older.
Right.
Look, I understand this situation in the sense that many people say, oh, but Doral grew around the incinerator and around the trash, and everybody moved there knowing it was there. It was never supposed to be there in perpetuity. If you look at every future plan and the master plan of the county for this facility, it always had an end date, right? And it was going to move because you were eventually going to run out of land, and it was going to be
so it was supposed to leave.
By the way, the county is the one that rezoned most of those residential areas around the incinerator. It was not the city. The city is only 20 years incorporated. Right. All of those zoning approvals happened under the county. So I think it's unfair to say to the residents of Doral that, oh, you moved there, so deal with it. Right. No, we did deal with it for a very long time, and we understood it. But now the city has grown and it's not a compatible use in the area. And there was always a plan to move it.
It doesn't make sense.
So let's move it. If the facility burned down for 2 reasons. Really bad maintenance. It was very badly maintained, which is where we had the issue with the smell. And it was time for them to invest into a new facility. So they have that opportunity now. They waited too long. This can has been kicked down the road several times, and I understand it's a very complex issue, but there are solutions, and I think you do need to move it. Now, the state is taking up right now legislation that says, it was presented by Senator Brian Avila, and then it's in the House as well, companion bill that says you cannot rebuild or build any new incinerator or facility that burns trash within 1 mile of a resident. And I think that that's the right thing to do. You need to protect the health of our residents. Now, they'll tell you, the county commission and all these people that have traveled all around the world to see these incinerators will tell you, oh, but they're in the middle of cities and places like, I don't know, everybody's telling me the one in Copenhagen. Right. So, yeah, but their standards for what they can burn are very different than the standards in the United States.
Copenhagen to go see that, huh?
Yeah. They all went skiing down that mountain.
Plastics
how long were they in Copenhagen?
Exactly, but that's true. What happens is that the regulations across seas are much more strict than the regulations we have here for what you can burn. So I don't care how many filters and things you put. Look, it's the same way as cancer works, unfortunately, right? Yeah. Everybody reacts to chemicals and to things differently.
Whatever, yeah. Absolutely.
The microwave may affect your body different than it affects my body, but it has electrowaves. It has waves, and it is affecting. And if you're somebody who has higher cancer cells in your body, that could be a problem for you.
Faster.
Triggered different than for me. It's the same thing with the chemicals that are coming out of those stacks. So while they can say it is at the standards, the acceptable standards, it shouldn't be at the acceptable standards for our children, for our families. So
because what about the kids that have
we're
asthma
advocating.
and people that have COPD?
Correct.
No, and your city is plastic free, correct?
We did we did it as an example, so I believe in leading by example.
Glass.
Well, that's what I was telling you guys. I love these.
Glass only.
These are great. I would love these. So we right now have canned water, but I like the glass. Please do. We did do a plastic free initiative because I believe in leading by example versus requiring the businesses or creating unnecessary obligations on the business, but we wanted to lead by example. We need to produce less waste, and so the city got rid of plastics.
It's banned.
It's banned in our city.
Restaurants.
Not restaurants, just the city. We've imposed it on ourselves.
Your offices.
Not on the businesses. I don't believe in imposing unnecessary regulations.
Follow suit. That's a
right.
Great
that's the idea.
idea.
It's an incentive.
Those plastics and bottles are killing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even though obviously this glass
this
for
is a good
any
one.
company,
it tastes different.
I told you since the beginning.
It tastes different. And
this is not even, Maya, this is like on the air right now. We're trying to
No, it's very good, actually.
It's good.
It's very
Mayor,
refreshing.
before you go, tell us, apart from everything that you said right now with the incinerator, anything else, what else do us and even the city of Doral residents have something looking forward to apart from the park and everything else that you have now,
or future,
or in the future, or as I say, ¿qué tiene gente entero?
Or future events you want to plug?
Oh man, we have so many great things. So in the summer, we are going to be bringing a pop-up theater.
Okay.
June and July. And I think I can announce already who it is. I don't know if you guys heard Las Paredes Hoyen, if you guys ever saw it. It was in the Westchester Theater for a little bit. Then it went to the Cuban Museum. I'm bringing it throughout.
What do you mean by theater? Like live?
So it's an immersive theater, kind of like the Amparo experience. You remember when Amparo experience was here? It's an immersive theater. I'm doing the same thing in our cultural center with Las Paredes Hoyen. It's going to be the whole month of July, starting in June, and I'm very excited about it. Theater is a big thing in our city. It's culture, and people have been asking me for theater for a long time, but we don't have a theater. So I said, how do I do this in a way that's creative, that doesn't cost us a lot of money, but we can bring that experience to our students? So we are doing it, and it teaches about the dangers of communism. It's about the Cuban Missile Crisis and the political prisoners. So it's going to be in our cultural center starting June 13th. Don't quote me on that. We'll announce it with the day, but June 13th through July 28th about. So get tickets. It's going to be beautiful and just a great experience. And we have so many other things happening. Again, our opening of Doral Central Park. I'm actually working on trying to incentivize or do ourselves some senior living. I think we need in Doral. We're seeing a lot of our aging population struggling. They deserve to have a good quality of life. Listen, my grandmother's my biggest inspiration in my life. One of the reasons I think I ended up in politics was a little seed she planted in my head a long time ago, and I didn't even know she had planted it. She said, Christi, es mejor ser útil que importante.
Great.
And that for me was a big influence on my life. And I think we got to take care of our seniors. So
Grandma can be proud because you're útil and importante.
My grandma.
So you're both things right now.
My grandmother was a big inspiration for me too. That's why I kind of got into restaurant and TV and all that stuff because
she cooked.
She loved restaurant. Before we go, I have one question. What does modern day Christi Fraga tell 18-year-old Fraga if you could say something to her?
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut?
Trust your gut. Yeah. Trust your gut.
Let's do it.
Your faith is your base. And, it's all going to be okay.
Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you having here. Great. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to come back.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot more we could talk about.
No. And then after that, once you finish, once you revise and do all of the spectacular, then we look at the future of the future.
And she doesn't just talk about it. She beats about it. She supports all our events and everything that we do.
We're excited about 2025. I mean, who doesn't support like una comelada de caja china?
These are the good politicians that I like to interview. The people that you have accessibility.
You got in trouble today on the podcast talking your stuff.
No, I don't get in trouble. Me get in trouble? By whom? Please. I don't get in trouble. You go ahead and bring them to me all the time.
Bring the pain.